You're standing on the lot, $80,000 glowing under those big lights, a truck that shines like a trophy, and a smiling man in a polo telling you it'll run forever. Stop. Before you sign that paper, you need to hear me out. Half the trucks wearing that $80,000 sticker today are the exact same ones I watch get dragged back into my bay on a flatbed. Not at 200,000 miles, at 40,000, at 60,000. Some of them barely out of the honeymoon. I've spent more than 30 years under the hood, and I can tell you which of these big money trucks quietly outlast everything and which ones will empty your wallet before the loan is even half paid. This is a countdown. 5 trucks, ranked by how bad they'll burn you. And the worst one, the truck that fails more than any of them, wearing the one badge every American swears by, I'm holding that for the very end. There's a recall number behind it that almost nobody talks about. Whether you're buying new, buying used, or you already own one sitting in your driveway right now, this ranking's going to matter to you. I still remember the day I set this list in my head. A 2021 truck rolled in, 42,000 miles on the clock, and when I pulled the valve cover, the camshaft was chewed down to metal shavings. The owner had 2 years of payments left. He cried in my waiting room. That's the day I stopped trusting price tags. Let me show you why. Let's start the countdown at number 5, and I promise it climbs from here. Number 5 on my list is the Ram 1500 with the 5.7-liter Hemi V8. Now, hold on, because I know what you're thinking. That truck has a reputation. That engine has a fan club. Guys swear by the Hemi like it's a family member. So why is it sitting on a list of trucks people regret? 2 words, lifter failure. And underneath that, a little system Ram calls MDS, the multi-displacement system, which shuts off 4 of the 8 cylinders to save you a thimble of fuel. Sounds clever on paper. In my bay, it's a wrecking ball. That system leans on lifters and a camshaft that were never built tough enough to take the abuse, and when one lifter collapses, it wipes the lobe right off the cam. Metal goes everywhere. You get that tick first. A little tap, tap, tap at idle that the dealer tells you is normal. It is not normal. That tick is the sound of your engine eating itself. I've seen these fail as early as the 60,000 mile mark, and I've seen 2015 through 2021 models come in with the exact same story. When it goes, you're not doing a small repair. You're looking at a camshaft, a full set of lifters, and if the debris circulated, a whole engine. Parts and labor, I've written those tickets between $4,000 and $7,000. On a truck that still owes the bank money, here's the insider part they don't tell you on the lot. The tick usually shows up right after the factory warranty waves goodbye. Convenient, isn't it? So what do? If you own one, you change your oil religiously every 4,000 miles, thicker oil in the summer, and you never, ever ignore a tick. If you're buying used, you start that cold engine yourself, and you listen before the salesman can crank the radio. A ticking Hemi is a walk away. Simple as that. That's number 5. Bad, but survivable if you catch it. But the truck at number 4 doesn't give you a warning tick. It just quits. And it's wearing a bow tie that half of America trusts with their lives. Number 4 is the Chevrolet Silverado and its twin, the GMC Sierra, specifically the ones packing the 6.2-liter V8 they call the L87. This is the big premium motor. The one in the loaded Denali's and the high country trucks pushing right up against that $80,000 line, the one they charge you extra for, and it has been failing in a way that should scare anybody about to sign. Same villain as the Ram in a different suit. It's the cylinder deactivation again, the fuel-saving gimmick, plus lifters and bearings that couldn't take the load. But here's what makes the 6.2 worse. When these let go, a lot of them don't tick politely for a month first. Owners describe it as a bang, a knock, and then a dead truck on the shoulder of the interstate with the family inside. In 2024, General Motors had to recall roughly, and I want you to hear this number, close to 500,000 of these trucks and big SUVs over engine failures tied to that 6.2. Nearly 500,000 Tahoes, Yukons, Escalades, Silverados, Sierras, the crown jewels of the lineup. The official cause pointed at manufacturing debris and connecting rod and bearing problems. Translation from mechanic to human, The engine can seize with almost no warning. I had one of these come in, a 2022 Sierra, barely 38,000 miles. Owner babied it and the bottom end let go on the highway. He thought he'd bought the last truck he'd ever need. He'd bought a 70-something thousand dollar paperweight. A new crate engine for one of these runs north of $10,000 once you count the labor, $10,000 on a truck newer than most people's phones. So here's your protection. If you already own one, keep every service record and know your recall status by heart, because that paper is your leverage if the motor grenades. If you're shopping, pull the vehicle identification number and check it against the recall database yourself before you fall in love. Don't take the dealer's word. They profit whether that engine lasts or not. And that's the thread starting to pull loose here, isn't it? Somebody profited from these problems staying quiet. Somebody knew these deactivation systems were chewing up engines and kept selling them anyway. Hold that thought, because it gets worse as we climb. Number 4 will strand you, but number 3 will nickel and dime you into the poorhouse while it does it, and it's the best-selling truck in the entire country. Number 3 is the Ford F-150 with the 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. And before the Ford guys close this video, hear me out, because I'm not here to bash your truck. I'm here to save you money. The EcoBoost is a strong engine. It pulls like a diesel, and it sounds great doing it. That's exactly why the failures sting so much. The headline problem is the cam phasers. These are parts that adjust your engine's timing. And on a lot of these motors, roughly the 2017 through 2020 range, they wear out early and start rattling like a coffee can full of bolts on a cold start. Ford even put out technical service bulletins acknowledging the noise. A bulletin is the manufacturer quietly admitting there's a pattern without shouting it from the rooftop. When the phasers go, you're looking at timing components, labor-heavy work buried deep in the front of the engine, and a bill that lands between $2,000 and $3,000, sometimes more if the timing chain's stretched along with it. Then there's the 10-speed automatic transmission bolted behind a lot of these trucks, harsh shifts, clunks between gears, some trucks jerking so hard the owner thinks they got rear-ended. That transmission generated so many complaints, it drew lawsuits, and when a 10-speed needs real work, you're staring at $4,000 and up. Now, here's the part the marketing buried. They sold you the EcoBoost as the efficient choice. Better fuel economy, smaller engine, more power, save at the pump. But if you're feeding it timing, repairs, and transmission work, you didn't save a dime. You just spent it in my bay instead of the gas station. I've watched owners do the math after the fact and go pale. I had a contractor, good man, 2018 F-150, come in with the phaser rattle at 71,000 miles. He used that truck to make his living. Every day it sat on my lift was a day he wasn't earning. That's the hidden cost nobody prints on the window sticker. Downtime. When your work truck is my patient, your paycheck stops. If you own one of these, here's a free move. On a cold start, before you touch the gas, roll your window down and just listen for the first 3 seconds. A rattle that fades after a moment is your early warning on those phasers. Catch it early and you save the bigger engine damage, and change your oil on time, because dirty oil murders these timing systems faster than anything. So that's the country's favorite truck sitting at number 3, quietly draining accounts. But now we're getting into the serious money, and I need to turn and talk to some of you directly, because I can feel you worrying. If you're sitting there right now realizing you own one of these trucks, the Hemi, the 6.2, the EcoBoost, and your stomach just dropped, this next part is for you specifically. Don't panic and don't run. Trade it in at a loss. Let me give you things you can do yourself in your own driveway this weekend without a shop and without spending real money to protect yourself. First thing, get an oil analysis. When you do your next oil change, or even before it, you can buy a cheap sampling kit for around $25 or $30. Catch a little of your used oil in the bottle and mail it to a lab. What comes back tells you if there's metal floating in your engine long before you'd ever hear it. Elevated iron, elevated aluminum, that's your camshaft or your bearings talking to you while there's still time to act. That $125 test has saved my customers from $10,000 surprises more times than I can count. It's the single smartest thing a worried owner can do. Second, learn the sound of your own engine when it's healthy. Go out tomorrow morning cold before the sun's fully up and record 30 seconds of your startup on your phone. Now you've got a baseline. Next month, record it again. If new ticking, rattling, or knocking crept in, your ears will catch it against that recording. You just gave yourself an early warning system for free. Third, pull your service records together and check every open recall on your vehicle identification number yourself tonight from your couch. If there's an open recall tied to your engine, the manufacturer has to fix it, and knowing that puts the power back in your hands instead of theirs. Don't wait for a letter in the mail that may come too late. And fourth, the simplest one of all, shorten your oil change interval. Whatever the manual says, cut it. These modern engines with their fuel-saving tricks live and die on clean oil. 4,000 miles, quality, full synthetic, the right weight for your climate. Oil is the cheapest insurance on earth. A jug of oil is $40. A camshaft is $5,000. You do that math. Do those four things, and you've done more to protect your truck than any extended warranty they tried to sell you at the desk. Now, here's the honest truth. Those 4 driveway checks buy you time, but they can't rewind the moment you shook hands on the wrong truck in the first place. That's the mistake that costs the most, and it's the one I put everything I know into stopping. It's a collection called the Complete Lemon Proof Bundle, and it's the full, permanent version of everything I've been showing you tonight. Inside, you get the reliability matrix that separates the hype from the hard data, the exact engines and transmissions to avoid listed by model year and family, brand rankings built on real repair records instead of ad budgets, and a truck buyer's checklist with 6 simple go or no-go criteria. There's a whole section on reading NHTSA complaint data the way a safety engineer does, and on auditing technical service bulletins so you spot a systemic failure early, the same kind of quiet pattern I told you about with those Ford phasers. And here's a check you can run for free tonight, right from your couch. Take any truck you're eyeing, pull up the NHTSA complaint database, type in that model, and read what real owners are reporting. You'll see the same failures I've been naming climb to the top with your own eyes. No salesman, no spin, just documented data. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. And this matters no matter when you're watching, because there's always a next truck coming, yours or someone you love's. And one bad handshake undoes a lifetime of careful driveway work. So keep those 4 checks close, because I'm about to walk you into number 2 on this list. Now, let me turn back to the countdown, because the top 2 are where the real heartbreak lives. Number 2 on my list is the diesel money pit, and specifically I'm pointing at the trucks running the high-pressure CP4 fuel pump. You'll find this haunting a range of Ford Power Stroke diesels, and it shares a cousin's problem with the Ram EcoDiesel. Now, diesel buyers, you pay a premium up front, $8, $10, sometimes $12,000 extra for the diesel option on a heavy-duty truck that's already pushing past $80,000. You do it because diesels are supposed to be tough, supposed to last 500,000 miles, and a good one will. But this fuel pump can turn that dream into the most expensive repair in this entire countdown. Here's the nightmare. The CP4 pump runs on tight tolerances, and America's diesel fuel doesn't lubricate it the way the fuel over in Europe does, where it was designed. So the pump can start grinding itself apart internally. And when it fails, it doesn't fail quietly. It sends metal shavings downstream through your entire fuel system, every injector, every line, the tank. The whole thing gets contaminated with tiny bits of your own pump. You know what that repair cost? I've seen these full fuel system jobs land between $8,000 and $12,000 on a truck. One repair that costs as much as a used car from a part the size of your fist, and it can happen without any warning at all. You're driving down the highway, the truck loses power, and it's done. There have been lawsuits over these pumps for exactly this reason. I had a rancher bring me his Power Stroke, and when I told him the number, he just sat down on my shop floor. He'd bought diesel to save himself trouble. That's the cruel joke of it. The very feature you paid extra for became the thing that broke you. So what do? If you're buying a used diesel, you find out what fuel pump it runs and whether a protective device or an upgraded pump was installed. Some owners fit a lubricity system or a disaster prevention kit that catches the shavings before they spread. If you own one, run a quality fuel additive that boosts lubricity at every fill up. It's a few dollars a tank, and it's cheap insurance against a 5-figure catastrophe. And never, ever run your tank down to fumes on these, because low fuel means less cooling and lubrication for that hard-working pump. Number 2, we'll hand you a repair bill bigger than some people's annual salary, and yet it's still not the worst truck on my list, because at least with the diesel, you knew you were buying something complicated. The truck at number 1 betrays you in a way you never saw coming. It wears the badge that half of you clicked this video trusting completely. But before I give it to you, let me finally say out loud what's really going on here, because you've earned it. Every single truck I've named climbs a ladder built on one dirty secret. These companies figured out something years ago. They learned that a truck only has to survive the warranty. It only has to run clean until the factory coverage runs dry, because after that, every failure isn't their problem, it's your bill, and often it's my bay. So they chased fuel economy numbers to hit government targets and win the marketing brochure. Cylinder deactivation, tiny turbocharged engines working overtime, high-pressure pumps squeezed for efficiency, 10-speed transmissions hunting for 1 extra mile per gallon. And every one of those choices made in a boardroom to win a spec sheet became a weak point that fails right around the time you're on your own. The salesman who sold you the truck is long gone. The engineer who cut that corner got promoted, and you're standing in my waiting room with a 4-figure estimate in your hand. That's the machine. That's who profited from all of this staying quiet. Now, let me show you where it hurts the most. Number 1, the truck I never in my life expected to put at the top of a regret list, the Toyota Tundra. Specifically the 2022 and 2023 models with the new twin turbocharged 3.4-liter V6. They code as the V35A. I know, I can hear you through the screen. Toyota, the bulletproof one, the brand you clicked, this whole video believing in, the one your daddy told you would run forever. That reputation is real. It was earned over decades. And that's exactly why this hurts so much and why nobody in mainstream car media wants to say it plainly. When Toyota redesigned the Tundra, they walked away from the old indestructible V8, an engine that genuinely would go 300,000 miles, and they chased the same efficiency dragon as everybody else. Turbochargers, complexity, more power on paper, better numbers for the brochure, and here's the part that lands like a punch. In 2024, Toyota issued a recall covering right around 102,000 of these trucks and their Lexus cousins over engine failure. Machining debris left inside the engine during manufacturing. That debris can wander into the bearings, and the engine can knock, lose power, and stall dead on the road. Read that again. The most trusted name in trucks. 102,000 engines. The same story as the 6.2 Chevy, the same story as the Hemi, the same manufacturing debris nightmare that seizes a motor with almost no warning. The one badge everybody in my waiting room swears is immune turned out to be human after all, the moment they abandoned the simple engine that made them a legend. I had a longtime customer, a man who'd bought Toyota trucks his whole life on faith, roll in with his new Tundra and ask me why it didn't feel right. When I told him about the recall, the look on his face that was betrayal, not because Toyota is the worst company, but because he trusted them the most. And that's the whole point of this countdown. The badge is not the guarantee anymore, not for anybody, not even the king. This truth was buried under decades of a well-earned reputation, quietly kept alive only in the recall filings and the owner forums, where real people compared real failures. The company that built its name on lasting forever chased the same fuel economy numbers as everyone else and stumbled into the same trap. Mainstream reviewers gave the new Tundra glowing write-ups. The recall paperwork told the real story. Now you have it too. So what does this mean for you standing on that lot? If you're looking at a 2022 or 2023 Tundra, new or used. You check that vehicle identification number against the recall the same way you check any other truck on this list. You confirm the engine repair or replacement was actually performed and documented. You do not assume the badge protects you, because it doesn't. If you own one and it hasn't been addressed, you get it in free under that recall before that debris finds a bearing. And here's the honest twist. A fixed Tundra, one where that engine was properly sorted, can still be a genuinely good truck. The reputation wasn't a lie. It just stopped being automatic. You know what the older Tundras tell us? The ones with that plain V8? They tell us the answer was simplicity all along. Fewer turbos, fewer tricks, fewer boardroom shortcuts chasing a spec sheet. The trucks that quietly outlast everything in my bay are almost never the flashiest or the most expensive. They're the simplest ones built by people who weren't chasing a fuel economy headline. That's the real ranking underneath this whole countdown. So let me put the whole thing back together for you, because I don't want you walking away with just a list of fears. I want you walking away with power. At number 5, the Hemi Ram with its lifter eating deactivation. At number 4, the 6.2 Chevy and GMC with a 500,000 truck recall and an engine that can bang and die. At number 3, the country's favorite F-150 EcoBoost, rattling its cam phasers and clunking its 10-speed while it drains you slow. At number 2, the diesel dream turned nightmare, the fist-sized fuel pump that can cost you $12,000 in one afternoon. And at number 1, the heartbreaker, the trusted Tundra with over 100,000 engines recalled the moment it abandoned the simplicity that made it great. Every one of them shares the same DNA. Complexity sold as progress. Efficiency that only lived on the brochure. Corners cut in a boardroom that come due in your driveway after the warranty's cold in its grave. Here's what I need you to feel walking off that lot. You are not the sucker they built these trucks for. The whole game depends on you trusting the badge and the smile and not asking hard questions until it's too late. You just ask the hard questions. You now know more standing on that lot than the man trying to sell to you wants you to know. And that alone is worth thousands of dollars and years of headaches you'll never have to live through. You're not the kind of driver who buys the marketing order. You want the real order, the honest one, the one written in repair tickets and recall filings instead of glossy ads. That's who you are, and that's exactly why you made it all the way to the end of this with me. Now, I want to hear from you, because this is where you talk back. Tell me straight. Do you think I got the Tundra wrong at number 1? Are you one of those loyal owners ready to defend that badge to the last breath? Or did you feel that same betrayal my customer felt in my waiting room? And if you run a Hemi or a 6.2 or an EcoBoost, I especially want to know how many miles you've got on it and whether that tick has found you yet. Drop it in the comments. Tell me what you drive. Tell me where in the country you're watching from. And tell me which one of these 5 is sitting in your driveway right now. If getting the real ranking instead of the salesman's ranking meant something to you, then you belong with the rest of us here, the drivers who flat out refuse to get burned again, who'd rather hear the hard truth from a guy with grease under his nails than a pretty lie from a guy in a tie. That's the whole reason I do this. And if you want to go a step further and protect the truck you've already got, take those driveway checks I gave you seriously, the oil analysis, the cold start recording, the recall lookup, the shortened oil interval. That's your armor. Use it, because next time I'm pulling the cover off the 3 used trucks I'd buy with my own money tomorrow, the simple, boring, unkillable ones that never make the brochures and never end up on my lift. There's one full-size truck on that list, well under $30,000 used, that I'd trust to outlive every single vehicle in today's countdown combined. You're going to want to know its name before you go shopping. Stick with me, and I'll make sure you never sign for a lemon again. Before you go, one more thing. Inside the Garage Bench Club, I pick up right where I left off with the full truck countdown, engine by engine. And you can ask me your own truck questions where a real person, me, answers you myself. You won't be doing this alone either. So many buyers like you are already in there with us. Just point your phone's camera at the code on your screen, and you can cancel anytime. Now, if those sky-high prices left you frustrated, I've got good news. Right here, I'll show you 7 cheap pickups almost nobody buys, yet they'll outlast every pricey new truck for years. It's starting now.